Today, we're going to count down the 10 richest people in China. But look, this is about way more than just their bank accounts. This is really about the playbook. How do you build, and maybe more importantly, how do you keep a massive fortune in one of the most dynamic and, let's be honest, complex economies on the entire planet? This is a story of incredible ambition, wild innovation, and a very, very high-stakes game of power.
I mean, this quote just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? It sounds like something out of a spy movie. But it gets to the heart of what we're talking about. This isn't just about being rich. It's about creating your own private kingdom, one that's secured by a lot more than just cash. It hints at a kind of power that operates beyond borders and governments, and that's really the core of our story today.
So this is the big question, right? As we go through this list, you're going to see that the answer isn't just having one brilliant business idea. It's about timing, it's about vision, and it is absolutely about a very, very delicate dance with the state itself.
All right, let's kick things off with our rising titans, counting down from number 10 all the way to number 6. These are the billionaires who are really showing us the new ways fortunes are being made in China, from cashing in on consumer crazes to literally powering industrial revolutions.
So we start with a tie, two innovators with the same net worth but with wildly different empires. Kicking us off at number 10 is Wang of Pop Mart. He figured out that the real product wasn't the toy itself, but the thrill of not knowing what you're going to get. He turned these blind boxes into a massive cultural phenomenon. Then, right there with him at number 9 is Chuanfu of BYD. So while Pop Mart sells surprise, BYD sells raw power. They became the world's biggest EV maker by mastering affordable battery tech. Coming in at number 8, we've got Zhong Shanshan, who is a true legend of Chinese industry. His story is just incredible. It starts back in 1968, right in the middle of the Cultural Revolution, with a tiny little workshop making bottle lids, basically just to help feed his community. From that, he grew it into a global appliance giant. Midea is so big now, it even owns major German robotics firms. His journey perfectly mirrors China's own economic story.
Okay, at number 7, it's probably the most famous face in Chinese business, Jack Ma. I mean, his underdog story is legendary. The guy failed his college entrance exams twice. He was the only person out of 24 applicants to get rejected from a job at a local KFC. But then, a trip to the US in '95 showed him the internet, and boom, he starts Alibaba in his apartment. Its IPO made him a global icon, but his tendency to speak his mind led to this huge clash with state regulators in 2020. His life is both an inspiration and a serious cautionary tale about where the line is.
Sliding into the number 6 spot is William Lei Ding, and he represents a completely different path. The founder of NetEase is basically the anti-Jack Ma. While other entrepreneurs were chasing headlines in the spotlight, Ding just quietly built this massive digital empire. First, he offered China its first free email service. Then he just came to dominate online gaming. He's living proof that you don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to build one of the most powerful companies.
All right, now we are entering the big leagues, the top 5. These are the tech emperors. These are the people whose creations haven't just reshaped China, they've fundamentally changed the world. So who's cracking the top 5? It's Colin Huang, the mastermind behind the e-commerce disruptor Pinduoduo. See, he didn't try to beat Alibaba at its own game, he just invented a totally new one. He fused online shopping with social media and gaming. You team up with friends for bigger discounts, you grow virtual fruit on the app to get real rewards. It was genius, and by focusing on rural China, it just exploded. Then, and get this, he just walks away, steps down at just 41 years old to go study life sciences. At number 4, we have Lei Jun, the man they often call the Steve Jobs of China. His company, Xiaomi, completely upended the electronics world with a simple but brilliant idea. High-end tech should not have to cost a fortune. By selling directly to consumers online, he slashed costs, and he built this incredibly passionate community of Mi fans. And he didn't just stop at phones. He built this whole ecosystem of smart devices. His latest bet? A direct shot at Tesla and BYD with Xiaomi's first electric car.
And now for the top 3. Here we have one of the most powerful yet strangely low-profile figures in all of global tech, Pony Ma. As the founder of Tencent, he oversees this massive, sprawling empire. But his real masterstroke was WeChat. It is so much more than a messaging app. It is a super app. Think of it as the essential operating system for daily life in China. People use it for everything, paying bills, chatting, booking doctor's appointments, you name it. He quietly built an empire that shapes how a fifth of the world communicates, plays, and pays.
Our number 2 billionaire is a total shock to the system. Zhong Shanshan, nicknamed the Lone Wolf, completely defied the tech-first path to riches.
His education was cut short by the Cultural Revolution, so he worked as a bricklayer, he failed at a bunch of businesses, and then he had his breakthrough. He built China's most trusted brand of bottled water, Nongfu Spring, and he also acquired a major vaccine maker. He is the ultimate proof that you can still build a mega fortune on something as fundamental and as powerful as trust.
Okay, before we reveal number 1, we need to understand the technology that built his entire kingdom, the recommendation algorithm. See, instead of relying on what your friends like or what editors pick, this AI engine learns your specific tastes. It creates a personalized feed of content that is so compelling, it's almost impossible to put down. This is the key to everything.
And that algorithm created a staggering fortune of $65.5 billion for this man, Zhang Yiming. He's the intensely private founder of ByteDance. He first perfected that AI engine for a news app in China, but then he unleashed it on short-form video. The result, as you probably know, was TikTok, a global cultural phenomenon that made its creator the richest person in China.
But as we've been hinting, building the fortune is really only half the battle. Now we have to talk about the invisible force in every single one of these stories, the state, and the enormous price of holding that much power. And navigating that power is everything. Just look at the contrast. You've got Jack Ma, the outspoken founder. He publicly criticizes the system, and what happens? The government comes down on him hard. On the other hand, you have Zhang Yiming. He's facing huge geopolitical pressure over TikTok, and what does he do? He makes a strategic retreat, stepping down as CEO at just 38 to lower his profile. It's just a stark reminder of the delicate game you have to play to keep a fortune of this size.
So after all that, what does it all mean? Well, I think we can boil all of these incredible stories down to 3 main takeaways about wealth and power in China today.
First, no big surprise, tech is still king. The digital revolution from algorithms to super apps is what built most of these fortunes. But second, new sectors are on the rise. The success of the EV kings and the lone wolf of bottled water shows the green energy and trusted brands are creating wealth on a scale that can seriously rival tech. And finally, the self-made story is still very much alive. Almost every single person on this list started with next to nothing, building their empires from scratch on pure grit and vision.
And that all leaves us with one final, fascinating question. These individuals, these titans, are literally the architects of modern China. Their companies and innovations shape the entire global economy. So looking ahead, is the immense power of the Chinese state their greatest partner in that project? Or is it their single biggest threat? The answer to that question is going to define the next chapter for all of us.